The insult that launched the most expensive revenge mission in automotive history was delivered on April 21, 1963, in a conference room at Ferrari's Maranello headquarters. Henry Ford II, heir to America's most powerful automotive empire, had flown to Italy with a briefcase full of contracts and an $18 million offer to purchase Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari, the legendary founder of the prancing horse marque, looked across the mahogany table at the 45-year-old American billionaire and delivered words that would echo through racing history. "Mr. Ford, you are nothing but a manufacturer of ugly little cars. You know nothing about racing, nothing about beauty, and nothing about what makes a real automobile. Go back to Detroit and build your pedestrian transportation for accountants and housewives." Henry Ford II's face flushed with rage and humiliation. No one had ever spoken to him with such contempt. At that moment, in front of his executives and Ferrari's staff, Ford made a declaration that would reshape motorsport forever. "I will destroy you at Le Mans. Whatever it costs, however long it takes, I will beat Ferrari at their own game." The war between Ford and Ferrari had begun, and it would consume millions of dollars, countless hours, and the pride of two automotive empires. If you love discovering the untold stories behind automotive history's most incredible moments, please like this video and subscribe to the Car Chronicles. Early 1963, Ford's acquisition strategy. By 1963, Ford Motor Company was dominating American roads, but struggling with its international image. While Ford sold millions of practical vehicles, the company lacked the prestige and racing heritage that defined automotive excellence in the eyes of enthusiasts worldwide. Henry Ford II recognized this problem and developed a strategy to acquire that prestige instantly: buy Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari's company represented everything Ford wasn't: exclusive, beautiful, successful in racing, and respected by automotive purists globally. Ford's research indicated that Ferrari was facing financial difficulties. Despite their racing success and prestigious reputation, Ferrari was a small company that struggled with cash flow and manufacturing efficiency. An acquisition seemed mutually beneficial. Ford would gain prestige, Ferrari would gain financial stability. The offer Ford prepared was extraordinarily generous by 1963 standards. $18 million would purchase Ferrari entirely, with Enzo retained as a figurehead leader and given substantial autonomy over racing operations. Ford's executives believed the offer was so attractive that Ferrari couldn't possibly refuse. Henry Ford II was convinced this was a win-win situation, recalled a Ford executive who was present during the negotiations. He thought Ferrari needed Ford's money more than Ford needed Ferrari's prestige. But Ford's executives fundamentally misunderstood Enzo Ferrari's personality and motivations. Ferrari wasn't just a business to Enzo, it was his life's work, his artistic expression, and his path to immortality. April 21, 1963. The meeting. The acquisition meeting took place at Ferrari's factory in Maranello, surrounded by the tools, machinery, and partially assembled race cars that represented Enzo Ferrari's automotive vision. Ford's delegation arrived expecting a straightforward business negotiation. Henry Ford II presented the offer personally, explaining how Ford's resources could help Ferrari expand production, improve quality control, and compete more effectively against other luxury manufacturers. The proposal seemed logical and beneficial from every financial perspective. But as Ford spoke, Enzo Ferrari's expression grew increasingly hostile. Ferrari had built his company from nothing, survived World War II, and created some of the most beautiful and successful racing cars in history. The idea of selling to an American mass-market manufacturer felt like betraying everything he had worked to achieve. When Ford finished his presentation, Ferrari's response was swift and devastating. "Mr. Ford, your company makes refrigerators on wheels. You understand nothing about the soul of an automobile, nothing about racing, and nothing about creating beauty. Take your money back to Detroit and continue making transportation for people with no passion." Ford was stunned. No one in his business experience had ever rejected such a generous offer or insulted him so personally. His executives sat in shocked silence as Ferrari continued his verbal assault on Ford's automotive philosophy and business practices. The meeting ended with Ferrari escorting Ford's delegation to the door, making it clear that no amount of money could purchase his life's work. April 22, 1963. The Declaration of War. Henry Ford II spent a sleepless night in his Milan hotel room, replaying Ferrari's insults and planning his response. By morning, he had made a decision that would define Ford's racing efforts for the rest of the decade. "If Ferrari thinks Ford doesn't understand racing, we'll show him exactly what American engineering and unlimited resources can accomplish," Ford told his executives. "We're going to Le Mans, and we're going to beat Ferrari at the race they consider most important." Ford's Le Mans project began immediately. The company assembled a team of the world's best automotive engineers, racing drivers, and designers with a single mandate: create a car capable of defeating Ferrari at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The budget was essentially unlimited. Ford committed to spending whatever amount was necessary to achieve victory, regardless of the financial cost. Estimates suggest Ford invested over $25 million in the Le Mans program, equivalent to nearly $200 million today. "This wasn't about winning a race," recalled a Ford engineer who worked on the project. "This was about proving that American automotive engineering could match or exceed anything produced in Europe." 1964 to 1965. Building the GT40. Ford's Le Mans weapon became the GT40, a mid-engine sports car designed specifically to compete with Ferrari's race cars. The GT40 project brought together British chassis expertise, American engine power, and unlimited financial resources. The initial development was challenging. Ford's first Le Mans attempts in 1964 and 1965 ended in failure, with mechanical problems preventing Ford from seriously challenging Ferrari's dominance. Ferrari won Le Mans in both years, and Enzo Ferrari publicly mocked Ford's efforts. "Ford is learning that racing cannot be purchased like a commodity," Ferrari told Italian racing magazines. "Victory requires passion, understanding, and respect for the automobile as art, not just business." Ford's failures only intensified Henry Ford II's determination. He increased the budget, hired additional talent, and personally oversaw the GT40's development. The car gradually improved, but Ferrari remained dominant at Le Mans. By early 1966, Ford's Le Mans project had become the most expensive racing program in automotive history. The company was spending money at a rate that shocked even Ferrari, whose own racing budget was tiny by comparison. The breakthrough. Ford's breakthrough came at the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans. The GT40 had evolved into a genuinely competitive race car, and Ford's team had gained the experience necessary to challenge Ferrari's long-standing dominance. The race itself was dramatic. Ford and Ferrari cars battled throughout the 24-hour endurance test, with neither manufacturer able to establish clear superiority. Mechanical problems eliminated several cars from both teams, making the outcome uncertain until the final hours. As the checkered flag fell, Ford achieved something unprecedented: a 1-2-3 finish at Le Mans. 3 GT40s crossed the finish line ahead of every Ferrari, with the winning car driven by Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon completing 360 laps. Henry Ford II was in attendance to witness Ferrari's humiliation. As he stood on the Le Mans podium, watching American drivers celebrate with American-built cars, Ford felt that his revenge was complete. "We came to France to race, and we came to win," Ford announced after the victory. "I think we've proven that American engineering can compete with anything in the world." Enzo Ferrari was reportedly devastated by the defeat. Le Mans was Ferrari's most important race, and losing to Ford, especially after his insulting rejection of Ford's acquisition offer, was a professional and personal humiliation. 1967 to 1969, continued dominance. Ford's 1966 victory was not a fluke. The GT40 went on to win Le Mans in 1967, 1968, and 1969, establishing a 4-year period of American dominance at the world's most prestigious endurance race. Each victory was a reminder of Ford's ability to challenge and defeat established European racing superiority through engineering excellence and unlimited financial resources. The GT40 became an icon of American automotive achievement. Ferrari, meanwhile, struggled to respond effectively to Ford's challenge. The smaller Italian company lacked Ford's resources and was forced to watch as their traditional dominance was systematically dismantled by American engineering. Ford had proven that racing success could be achieved through methodical development and massive financial investment, observed a racing journalist who covered the Le Mans battles. Ferrari's romantic vision of racing as art was defeated by Ford's approach of racing as engineering challenge. The rivalry fundamentally changed both companies. Ford gained the racing credibility it had sought, while Ferrari was forced to modernize its approach to competition and business operations. The legacy. The Ford versus Ferrari Le Mans war remains one of the greatest rivalries in automotive history. It demonstrated how corporate pride and personal insults could motivate extraordinary achievements in engineering and competition. For Ford, the Le Mans victories provided the racing heritage and prestige that money alone could never purchase. The GT40 became a symbol of American automotive excellence and engineering capability. For Ferrari, the defeats served as a wake-up call that forced modernization and innovation. The company emerged stronger from the challenge, ultimately developing cars that would dominate Formula One and sports car racing for decades. The rivalry also showed how unlimited financial resources could overcome traditional advantages in racing. Ford's willingness to spend $25 million proved that even the most established racing dynasties could be challenged by determined competitors with sufficient funding. Most importantly, the Ford versus Ferrari war produced some of the most beautiful and successful race cars ever built. Both the GT40 and Ferrari's response vehicles became legendary machines that are treasured by collectors and enthusiasts today. The story reminds us that the greatest achievements in automotive history often emerge from competition, rivalry, and the refusal to accept defeat. Henry Ford II's wounded pride motivated one of the most successful racing programs ever undertaken, while Enzo Ferrari's artistic vision inspired continued innovation and excellence. Today, both Ford and Ferrari continue to benefit from the legacy of their 1960s rivalry. The Ford GT carries forward the GT40's design language and racing heritage, while Ferrari remains the ultimate symbol of automotive passion and performance. The war that began with an insult in a Maranello conference room ultimately elevated both companies and gave the automotive world some of its most cherished racing memories and legendary machines. If this story moved you, subscribe to the Car Chronicles and hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to know that the greatest automotive achievements often come from rivalry, determination, and the refusal to accept that something is impossible. What's your favorite car that emerged from competitive rivalry? Let us know in the comments how competition has driven innovation in automotive history.